Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and I've got a couple of really great articles for you, and also a podcast that was an interview with Devin Nunes. Really got to see these things. Okay, first of all, this article is by Sundance on, Conservative Treehouse here, and it says Devin Nunes has a warning for AG Barr. Without prosecutions, none will trust the FBI or DOJ for generations. And this came out on July 14th, but the actual interview that he's referring to is a podcast that was done about a week ago. And here's one of the quotes that he says. When you click on it, you can click down here on the podcast interview and it will take you to this. Let me just play you the clip where he's talking about this. So here you go.
You now know that this was actually set up to be an obstruction of justice trap. And what they were really doing for the better part of the entire investigation was just trying to catch the president in an obstruction of justice scenario. These are all a bunch of dirty cops, and I'll tell you, some of them better go to jail, or we're going to go down in a spiral in this country, because you will not have a Republican that will trust the FBI or the Department of Justice for generations to come.
Wow.
Now, not only was he talking about this, but he also talked about Weissman, and he talked about several other things going on. One of the questions that was raised by Bill Hemmer, who is the one who did the podcast, Bill Hemmer from Fox. One of the major questions he asked was, did Mueller destroy any evidence? I thought that was very interesting. I guess Joe DeGeneva had actually raised that question, and he was just repeating that. But still, that is a very good question, and it's a question a lot of people were wondering about. Did they really put out all the evidence? I don't think they did. We know for sure that they wiped clean Strzok and Page's phones before anything was pulled off of them. We also know that there's a lot of Peter Strzok and Lisa Page text messages that have not been released, and they've been kind of coming out in little dribbles and drabs. So anyway, now this entire article, when you read through it, if you're somebody who has been following everything that's been going on very closely and you know all the details, it probably isn't going to interest you. But if you're like me and you've been watching things happen, but it's so much, and you're trying to piece everything together, and once in a while it's like, wait a minute, how did that fit in? What about that? Well, this is an excellent article that will take you through the whole thing. This is all about that podcast, by the way. And he goes through the different phases and talks about what happened in each of those phases, what was going on. And yes, it did start back in November of 2015. This was the disturbing part, that it was going on for a long time, that they were looking into anybody who was a Republican opponent, and all the different things that were going on. They were coming up with this dossier, and all of the things that went on with the Fusion GPS and Nellie Orr. And I think Sundance here does a really good job of laying it all out. Now, I don't know if you remember, I did a video on this 99-page opinion from the FISA Court by Judge Rosemary Collyer. In the summary, the FISA Court identified and quantified tens of thousands of search queries of the NSA and FBI database using the FISA 702 system. The database was repeatedly used by persons with contractor access, who unlawfully searched and extracted the raw results without redacting the information and shared it with an unknown number of entities. And that's what Admiral Mike Rogers, as the director of the NSA, found out. He discovered they were doing this, that they were accessing the database, and this was going on under Obama, and I'm pretty sure, you know me, the trail is going to lead right back to him eventually. It's not quite there yet, but it will. It will. And so, all of this that was coming out, it lists everything. So if you have people who are just starting to become aware that they've been lied to about the whole Russian collusion, or if you have someone or if you yourself are just starting to say, wait a minute, things aren't adding up, something's not right. Well, this will take you all the way through and give you actual documentation that will point all of it out for you. This is really so well detailed. It's incredible. And this time period, phase 2, started April 18th. At the same time as NSA Director Mike Rogers discovered a significant and unauthorized uptick in FISA 702 database queries and subsequently blocked access on April 18th, candidate Donald Trump became the presumptive nominee for the presidential race. And again, he lists it all. He puts it on a nice timeline here for you to be able to do that. And he also includes videos. He includes, documentation from different newscasts and things from the time period, because a lot came out previously, but we just weren't aware of everything. And like Devin Nunes was doing interviews and he knew what was going on, and so was Trey Gowdy, but they couldn't really say what they needed to say. So they had to be a little cryptic because the information was not public yet and they could not make it public. So anyway, this just goes on. I would read it to you, but folks, it's really long and it's very detailed. I think it's well worth the read, but I'm not going to take the time on this to read it to you. And this goes on down. There is one other, let's see, where is it? There was this big deal about May 6th because the Mueller report made it sound like May 6th was the date that Papadopoulos met with Downer. But that's not what happened. That he met with Erica Thompson on that date. She was the aide for Alexander Downer. So there are a lot of things in the Mueller report that are not exactly untruthful, but misleading in how they're written. And the way they wrote this is just, they didn't say Downer, they just said a foreign dignitary or something like that. And so that's how they got around it. But they did a lot of wordsmithing on that document to make it so it's not necessarily untruthful, but it is really misleading in a lot of ways. And so that's, you'll see it more as you go through this. And again, there's, documentation of the testimony from these different people. Sundance does an excellent job. So I'm going to recommend that you read this. And then back up here where I was, go deep. When you click on that, it will take you to another article that is explaining when Devin Nunes was talking about there were no official channels that gave them information to be able to start this whole Crossfire Hurricane thing. This article right here gives you information about that, and this came out back in April. So Sundance has been on this for a while and doing a great job in putting this information out. I do not know who Sundance is. I do not know if Sundance is a he or she. I'm just using the word he just because. I don't know. Anyway, so this talks all about the different things. Again, it's really long, but wow, it's packed with information. So these are 3 things that when you get a chance, you need to look through, or at least bookmark to look at later, because all 3 of these, these 2 articles and then this podcast. The podcast is 30 minutes long. Again, really, folks, listen to it. It's great. So 3 great things to listen to. Don't forget to make sure that you haven't been unsubscribed from me because they keep doing it. Yeah. And I'm getting folks telling me that they did not unsubscribe on their own, but YouTube did it for them. So let's make sure YouTube's not doing that to you. And they seem to have a new tactic now for the big D word. Because I discovered this morning that the video I put out on Kellyanne Conway and the Hatch Act was not the big D when it first came out. And it actually had about 600 views, I think, before they did the big D to it. So I think this is a different tactic because that proves to me it wasn't the AI that did it. That had to have been done manually somehow, because the AI would have done it right from the start. And so, yeah, you kind of wonder if you don't have trolls going around, because there's a way you can report videos. And I kind of wonder if that's not what's happening, that there's a couple little trolls that have recently found my channel and keep doing that or something. I don't know. But it's getting a little frustrating because every time I put one up, it's like I have to keep checking back because they keep doing that to me. And I never know when they're going to do it. And some of my older videos I've gone back to look at and it's like, whoa, since when did you do that to me? Yeah. I've had videos that had like 65,000 views and were monetized, and then all of a sudden, they decided to give them the big D. Why? That's just weird. So something's going on. Something is afoot, but we know that, right? That's what's happening. So anyway, I wanted to share all that with you, and just a reminder, so check the subscription thing. Also, make sure you click the bell if you want to get notified when I put out a new video. I try to get them out in the mornings, but not always. So, sometimes I just can't get it done. I have a really slow connection, and sometimes the squirrels just can't make it all the way to YouTube to get those videos out in the morning. So, anyway, I want to thank you for stopping by, and I will see y'all later.